Good morning, Discover and Recover Yoga participants. So glad you're here. My first name is Neil, and I'm the founder of At the Core. And I'm delighted that you all are here to discover and recover in this yoga practice. As we begin, just some tools for the trade. Yoga blocks, they come in different heights or different thicknesses, as you might be able to see here. Can be great to help support you, especially to bring the floor up closer to, raise the floor up, bring you support as you're in forward folds using the blocks in various ways, which you can also substitute maybe a thick book, a hardcover book for blocks if you don't have them. A yoga strap is something that does not stretch. It's long, and we could use this over time to work the shoulders, to help with extension through the hamstrings. So a yoga strap, guess what? An old necktie would work the same as long as it doesn't have any elasticity to it. A yoga strap can be used, an old necktie can be used instead of a yoga strap. And then finally, I call this the big ass pillow. It's a bolster. And what I like about this is it's firm. It's got some softness, but it's pretty firm. In lieu of the big ass or the bolster, it would be a pillow. Something you'd have, maybe a couch cushion, because something that has some firmness to it that can be used for your practice as well. So I just wanted to point out a few of those props that we would I'll introduce during the course of the practices as the Discover and Recover Yoga unfolds. And let's begin this session in a comfortable seated position. As you can tell, I'm going to use this bolster to sit on in an effort to bring my hips a little bit higher than my knees and allow the knees and the hips to sink in and down, and just simply find that comfortable seat. Cross-legged is an option. Butterfly pose is an option. Legs out forward is another option. And even furthermore, some students may come onto their knees as a fourth option to find a seated position. If this is uncomfortable on the knees, you could always bring a pillow or a blanket. Oh, I forgot. There is the yoga blanket is another problem. Between the hamstrings and the calves as a cushion if you'd like to sit on the knees. So welcome as we begin. Finding this comfortable seated position, allowing the shoulders to soften, the throat and the jaw to soften. And since you're in your own spaces, feeling safe and secure, I trust, there's an option to close the eyes and simply arrive. Simply allow in these moments of connection to the physical body, becoming more aware of how we are showing up on the mat, in your seated position, in your safe space. And the premise, this launching of Discover and Recover Yoga, is to simply do those things, to discover that which no longer serves us. Perhaps uncovering and discovering mindsets and heart sets that are holding us back from the best version of ourselves. It may be resentment, procrastination, envy, anger, resentment, sloth, those elements, those characteristics, those personality traits that perhaps we would like to release, but maybe they're covered up. And hope and desire for this practice is to uncover those elements and look for ways such as the movement will do, the breath work that we'll do, some of the mindfulness and meditation that will be introduced over time to recover from some of those aspects, some of those characteristics which we would like to release. So we discover and we recover during this process. So let's find out and discover how we are seated, how we are relaxed, how we are showing up on the mat. And it is a victory each time we come to the mat, a morning session, an afternoon session, an evening session, whether you're doing 5 or 10 minutes on your own, it is a victory each time we show up on the mat. So as you become more aware of the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body in this moment, I would like you next to turn the attention to the breath. Start to notice how your breath is flowing. The suggestion is let the inhale go in through the nose, and then gently release that exhale through the mouth. We'll transition in just a bit to nostril breathing. In the yoga practice, we call it Ujjayi breath. Fancy term for breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. But I'd like you to mindfully be aware of how the breath is flowing in through the nose to fill and expand not only the upper chest, but also the belly. And then let the exhale go through the mouth, and let that exhale, please friends, be a release. Let the exhale be a nice therapeutic tool to let go. And really a kind of a manifestation, a metaphorical way of just letting that exhale release that which no longer serves. Please, a few more rounds of that deep, full, and rich diaphragmatic breath cycle. My hope and desire is that each exhale will allow you to become a little more relaxed, a little more centered, a little more grounded on the exhale. Lovely. Okay, friends, on your next in-breath, let's sweep the arms wide and high. If you like to cup the palms, it's like we're kind of figuratively drawing energy up from the base, from Mother Earth, as the palms connect above the ground ahead. Your exhale through the mouth will come to the heart center. Here's that opportunity to transition to nostril breathing, Ujjayi breath, at the heart space, where I like to say this mantra: from the heart center, all the wonderful stuff emanates: kindness, compassion, empathy, tolerance, patience, forgiveness, holy cow. But ultimately love emanating and pouring forth from the heart center. If there is a purpose for this practice, if there's an idea, a thought, a notion you'd like to settle on, perhaps sending some love, some light out to a loved one, a significant other, somebody you're committed to might be struggling, now's a wonderful opportunity to do that. A concept, a thought, a notion, whatever might be arising in this moment. That nostril breathing, finding that Ujjayi breath. You may hear some teachers describe it as like an oceanic sound in the back of the throat, as if you're almost like fogging a mirror. Sometimes your teachers describe it as like you put a seashell up to your ear, you hear that sound. Sometimes that comes from the back of the throat. And I will occasionally during the practice ask us or suggest that we return back to an exhale through the mouth and deepen that breath, that exhale through the mouth, just occasionally during the practice to kind of mix it up and let those exhales be really, really intentional, really purposeful. Now, speaking of breath cycle, let's inhale, sweep the arms wide and high. Nice. And this time as we exhale, let's take the right hand to the floor and the left arm is going to come up and over. So I'm going to open up that left side of the body, maybe walk the right fingertips a little further over, an opportunity to move the head a little bit yes, a little bit no, as we lengthen through this left side. A little lateral movement of the spine, draw energy into that left side body. My left hip might want to pop a little bit, so if we can keep it engaged, drawing energy into that left side body. Now, speaking of that, inhale to lengthen through the left side, but as we exhale, left hand to right thigh, and I'm going to bring the right hand to the low back. So we've gone from a bend to a twist. You're probably looking over that right shoulder. Like me, I'm sitting on this bolster. It's difficult for me to get my right fingertips to the mat, but I can get the right fingertips to the low back and twist. I'm using this left hand as a bit of leverage to the outside of the right thigh as I exhale to maybe deepen that twist just a bit more as we hold for 3. Lovely, guys. Almost there for 2. Now, 1, let's release this right arm to come catty corner, almost at an angle, sweeping over towards the left side. So the torso is twisting right, but we're going to lean left. Again, maybe a little movement of the head, yes or no. Inhale to lengthen through the right side, but as you exhale, please untwist, unwind. We're back to the heart space. So little micro movements to get yourself reconnected to your seated posture. And let's go to the other side. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms wide and high. Bringing the energy up from the base. Here we go. Exhale, left hand to the floor, to the mat, and we're going to let that right arm bisect the right ear. Maybe walk the left fingertips a little further over towards the side of the mat. Opening up that whole right side body. Again, movement of the head, yes or no. Hello, right side body. Hello, obliques on the left. We'll hold for 3. That's breathing into that for 2. Now here we go. Right hand to left thigh and left hand to the low back. So twist happens. And again, now I'm using this right hand as leverage against the outside of my left thigh. My left hand is wrapped around the low back because I'm on the cushion. It doesn't reach the floor, but if you're on the mat, maybe you can take bring that right hand to the left hand to the floor as we hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now, speaking of left arm, let's let it come at that angle. Sweep across the body. So we're twisting torso to the left, but we're going to lean right. Nice long line of energy through that right side, left side body as we hold for 3. So breathing steady into that for 2. All right, please, friends, untwist, unwind, heart space. Heart center. Breathe in, breathe out. Lovely. Little opportunity to let everything kind of realign. So we've kind of certainly moved the spine. We've had a lateral move. We've had some twists. We've had some bends. Okay. Next, we're going to move ourselves into tabletop. All of you is going to come up to the side. This bolster is going to release. Coming onto hands and knees. Allowing the wrists right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. Inhale, dip the navel low, lift the gaze to the ceiling. There's cow. Exhale, chin tucks and back rounds. Inhale, navel goes low, heart lifts. Cow position. Exhale, chin tucks and back rounds. So keep that motion going, please. Inhale, the navel dips low. Exhale, the chin tucks. If anybody's seen a cat get mad, they round that back. So you feel a nice arch. That nostril breathing will guide you. Inhale finds cow. Exhale finds cat. So a few more rounds, please. Beautiful. Hello, spine. Working that undulation and articulation of the vertebrae. Keeping that spine really supple, really pliable. Okay, eventually we come to neutral. So we're to that neutral spine. The option now is if I had a marker on the belly, I'm going to go in a figure 8. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can let that marker on the belly start to form a figure 8 on the mat. So this is wrists and shoulders, knees and hips. As you move that body, that torso in that infinity symbol, that figure 8, you're going to be going in one direction, but we'll switch directions in just a moment. So allow that flow, that little rhythm, and be working through the wrists. If there are wrist flexion issues, you can do this from the fists. So I've got some students that have challenges by placing all 10 knuckles onto the mat. And so I suggest that the fists come right underneath the wrists. Excuse me, right underneath the shoulders. So keep that going for 3. Yeah, that's in that infinity symbol, that figure 8 for 2. Now please, let's reverse it. Take that infinity symbol, that figure 8 symbol, and reverse the direction, please. See how close you can draw the hips towards the heels, how far you can let the shoulders reach out over the wrists. Nice warm up for wrists, shoulders, knees, and hips. Keep going for 4. Breathing steady into that for 3. Nice work, guys. Almost there for 2. All right, eventually, guess what? We're back to neutral. Back to neutral table. Big toes to touch. The suggestion is you draw the knees out wide. Simply walk the hips back towards the heels while extending the arms forward. Child's. If the forehead readily mixes the mat, wonderful. If it doesn't, you can place one palm on top of the other, one hand on top of there, place the back of the head onto the back of the hand, or place one fist on top of the other and let that forehead rest on the fist. Or, third option, if there is a block or book in your vicinity, you can let that forehead rest on a block. So, restorative posture in child's pose early into the session. See how that unfolds. Now I mentioned introducing occasionally that deeper, fuller, richer diaphragmatic breath. This would be a wonderful opportunity to go full, rich, and deep. On the inhale, and please let the exhale go through the mouth. See how that releases you, kind of lets go of any unnecessary stiffness, any tightness, anything that's bound up. Let that exhale do that in child's pose. Okay, friends. On the next in-breath, let's come back up to table. If that might mean drawing those knees back underneath the hips to realign in table. Put the toes under, and all I'm going to do is gently bring the hips back towards the heels. So I'm getting a nice stretch to the soles and the balls. I've got both hands and arms extended forward. Option is to walk the hands towards the knees, get a little more ground, a little more comfortable here, or the next option is to bring the hands up and let the torso lift up. This would look like a catcher in baseball. This is a huge stretch to the soles and the balls of the feet. If that's too uncomfortable, you bring the hands back down to the mat in front of the knees or draw it forward. We're just here for a moment. Feel that beautiful stretch. And again, modify as we hold here for 4. Breathing steady into that for 3. Nice job, guys. Almost there for 2. Now, if you haven't already, bring the hands back underneath the shoulders. Untuck the toes, please. This may sound a little silly. Let's tap the tops of the feet into the mat. Just give a little light tap, tops of the feet into the mat. Nice, and then that goes still. Beautiful, guys. All right. From tabletop, I'm going to take this right hand to the back of the neck. Right elbow is out towards the right side of that. Inhale, take that right elbow towards the ceiling. And as I exhale, right elbow to left forearm. Inhale, elbow lifts, torso twist. Exhale, elbow to forearm. So that's the flow. Inhale, we rise. And exhale, we condense. So you'll feel that little motion. You'll feel that torso twist as the inhale lifts the elbow. Exhale, tucks elbow into, maybe it finds the eye of the other elbow, the eye of the left elbow. Maybe it finds the right elbow to left forearm. So we'll go for 4. Nice. Breathing steady into this for 3. Almost there for 2. And then on 1, I'm coming back to table. So reset yourself back onto hands and knees. Okay, I'll switch sides. Bringing this left arm out, left hand to the back of the neck. Inhale, left elbow lifts, and exhale, we tuck in. So same motion, just the other side. In the practice of yoga, what we do on one side will always mirror on the other. So unless I forget. So somebody out there remind me if I forget one side. Generally, I don't. Used to do that years ago when I started this teaching journey, but come to the place where I can remember that just we missed one side. So here we are on the left side. Inhale, the elbow lifts. Feel that torso twist. And exhale, bring that elbow to maybe the eye of the right elbow, maybe that right form as we go for 4. Breathing steady into that for 3. It's almost there for 2. Okay, last one, please. Let's draw that left wrist back underneath the left shoulder. You're back to neutral table. Tuck the toes under. We just did that a moment ago, but this time let's start to lift the hips, downward dog. So first upside down V. So please take advantage of that. And I'm just going to walk you through this. Hands at about shoulder distance, feet about hip distance apart. Again, if there are flexion issues with the wrist, you can do this from the fists. So I've got trying to find some energy at the top of the mat, energy at the back of the mat. I've got some students saying that my heels need to find the mat. Not necessarily. The heels may flip a bit. No worries. The suggestion is you bend one knee and then the other as you kind of undulate and articulate through the soles and the balls of the feet. Kind of wagging the tail. I'm going to suggest you move the head like it's on a swivel. That's going to be protecting the higher energy centers of the head and the neck. Nice. And then we pause. Almost no movement in this downward dog. If it's too much, you have the option to always come back down to table or child's pose. I'm going to see if I'm going to let the gaze go towards the belly button, soften the throat, soften the jaw. But eventually, friends, inhale to the tiptoes. And then I'm going to exhale, bend both knees, look between the thumbs, walk the feet to the top of the mat. Those with tight hamstrings, there's going to be an opportunity to deeply bend the knees, but eventually we're in our standing forward fold top of the mat. Chin tucks in. You have the option to sway. You may take opposite elbow to opposite hand, opposite elbow. Again, I have a slight bend in my knees because of a situation with my low back, which has me always slightly bending my knees in forward folds. Oof. Okay, friends. If you haven't already, the suggestion is opposite hand to opposite elbow. It's almost as if the head is framed between the triceps and biceps. On an inhale, let's sweep to the right side of the mat. Inhale, we're coming up the right side of the body. We're going to reach the apex. The head is framed between the triceps and biceps. And then as we exhale, we're going to lower down the left side. So let's just reverse that. Inhale up to the left side body. Reaching the top, exhale down the right. Let's keep going. Inhale up the right side with the bind. Reach the apex, frame the head, exhale down the left. Beautiful, guys. I'll let you keep going. We'll go for 4 at your own pace. Inhale, you rise, reaching the top. Exhale, you float down the opposite side for 3. Ooh, here we go. Almost there for 2. Well, there's a nice pop. And then eventually on 1, let's find ourselves back to that forward fold, releasing the bind, please. Eventually, I'm going to glue my palms to my shins. Inhale draws the crown of the head forward. So I'm thinking about that core parallel to the floor, and then exhale, we'll fold it back in. One more time. Palms to shins. Let's extend the spine. Some call it spine preparation. Half lift. Exhale, fold it back in. Our arms are like wings. Reverse swan dive will take us to standing. The palms meet above the crown of the head. And on the exhale, hands to the heart space. Ooh, yeah. Little wardrobe check. Little heart check. So part of my journey has included 30 years in the recovery world, 30 years in the space of recovery from alcoholism. So I started that journey at 32. I'm now 62. So in those 30 years of working the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12 steps, and working with sponsors and sponsees, and it has been an absolute joy. It has been a game changer, a life changer for me and for millions of others in this process of recovery. And then discovering yoga, the practice of yoga, About 15 years ago, after doing some training for marathons and looking for a way to mitigate injury to help the process of long distance running, and then started teaching 12 years ago. Launched at the core almost 9 years ago. So that's kind of the background. My hope and desire is I can get to know each of you guys a little bit about your stories, your background as this discover and recover yoga practice unfolds. Now please interlace those fingers, and as we exhale, let's press interlace palms towards the front of the mat. I'm going to suggest the chin tucks in, rounding across the upper back to shoulder blades. We carry some stress there on occasion. Now inhale, interlace palms towards the ceiling. So we've got a nice lifting and up and out of the hip flexors, the shoulder sockets. Now please float both hands to the low back and let's bind. So I'm doing my best job to interlace my hands at my lumbar. Draw the knuckles south towards the mat. Now take all 10 knuckles to that right hip. I'm going to do the best job I can to take all 10 knuckles to that right hip. Right elbow towards the back of the mat. Gaze over the left shoulder. Okay. Opportunity now, as long as there's no pinching or gripping into that cervical spine, into the neck. Inhale, lifts the chin. Exhale, lowers the chin. So the inhale, the chin lifts to the ceiling. Exhale, chin lowers towards collarbone or shoulder. Let's keep going for 3. Nice. Breathing steady into that for 2. Nice. Now I want to please unwind. So pause. We're in mountain. I oftentimes ask students, what do you do to unwind? When I ask that in the recovery world, people automatically respond what they used to do, which would involve alcohol or drugs. Others who are not in the recovery world, they might run, they may read, they may watch TV, maybe they're doing yoga. Ways to unwind, listening to music, dancing, eating healthy food. Certainly a number of ways to find ourselves to unwind. Now bring the hands back to the heart center. Maybe back, reconnect with your purpose, your practice, maybe the design for this day. Now reinterlace the fingers, less dominant thumb on top. I know it sounds a little silly. Every time I interlace my fingers, my right thumb goes on top. Now it's my left thumb. Once again, draw those interlaced palms forward. Let the chin tuck in, probably letting the biceps by the ears, round through the upper back. Now inhale those interlaced palms towards the ceiling. Lifting up and out. Now float the hands to the low back, please, and let's rebind. Perhaps I'd like you to do it again with that less dominant thumb on top. Draw the knuckles south. You'll feel the collarbone spread, the shoulder blade squeeze. Now all 10 knuckles to that left hip. Left elbow draws to the back of the mat, gaze over the right shoulder. So same thing, other side. Once you're established with this, inhale, lift the chin. Exhale, lower the chin. Inhale through the nostrils to lift the chin. Exhale through the nostrils to lower the chin. We'll go for 3. Keeping that left elbow drawn to the back of the mat. Keep going for 2. Nice. Last one. Beautiful. Now please, dare I say we unwind. Nice. Maybe a little shoulder shimmy. Maybe a little neck roll. And then back to mountain. So this is our reset posture, mountain pose, also known as Tadasana. It is an actual posture. I'll tell the story. I started the yoga journey about 15 years ago. I was maybe a year or 2 into the practice, and at the time you could, find classes not so much online, but in person. And we stood in mountain pose for like 6 minutes. And I was like, what's going on here? Let's get moving. But it is an actual posture. So I'd like you to think about how resilient, how powerful, how strongly based mountain pose is. Relax the fingers. Notice this dignified posture, this lengthening, this grounding from the waist up, grounding from the waist down, a lovely kind of lifting from the waist up. If you lift the toes, I've got some students that almost have fingers for toes. So I'm going to try to lift the toe pads off of the mat, see if I can spread the toes a bit, and then let the toe pads come back onto the surface. Next inhale, we'll sweep the arms wide and high. And it's best time, friends, as you exhale, let's swan dive, flat back, forward, fold. All right, maybe palms to shins or peace fingers to the mat. Let's half lift. So draw the crown of the head forward, core parallel to the floor, and then exhale.
One more time. Palms to shins or peace fingers mat. Half lift. Exhale, please let it go. Okay, friends, I'm going to take this left leg to the back of the mat. Right knee is going to stack over the right ankle. I'm going to anchor that left foot to the floor, left foot at a bit of an angle, as I draw this left arm forward and up, warrior two. So it's right foot forward, left foot back, warrior two. So we've blown past warrior one. We'll talk about that in a bit. So I'm thinking about right heel and left foot, left instep as a little bit of alignment. Right heel and left instep, a little alignment. Warrior two, core's engaged. I'm really sinking deep into this as much as I can. Stay engaged over the right fingertips. Inhale, the right hand sweeps high, the left hand goes low. Some will wrap that left hand around the low back. Some will slide it down the left leg as we exalt. Find this version of peaceful warriors we hold for three. That's nice. Almost there for two. Now release that right arm back to the front of the mat, left arm to the back of the mat, and let's slowly side angle. We'll call the side angle. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm is going to bisect that left ear. Ooh, yeah. Option, if you'd like to intensify this, right arm comes out to meet the left. Otherwise, right forearm stays on thigh. Huge breath in, nice steady breath out. We'll hold for three. Breathing into that for two. Now, please, let's untwist and frame that right foot. This is, friends, where a block comes in super handy. I'm going to take my left hand onto that block. I like to lift this left heel. Some like to keep the left foot grounded. I like to lift the left heel. Left hand stays down and the right arm lifts, revolve, crescent. So think about left arm at 6 o'clock, right arm at 12 o'clock as we hold for three. You're breathing into that for two. Now on one, right hand comes down, left foot comes up, forward fold. Guess what? Peace fingers to mat or palms to shins, half lift. Exhale, fold it deep. Okay, so you're still at the forward fold, top of the mat. Now, it's right leg to the back of the mat, please. Yeah, right leg to the back of the mat. It's like a little low lunge. Right foot's going to anchor down. Right arm cartwheels up and around, and we warrior two on this side. So we've got left foot forward, right foot back, warrior two. Left foot forward, right foot back, warrior two. Again, now it's a left heel to right instep alignment. If you can think about that, check in with this. Nice bend into that left knee. We got left knee, left ankle stack. Inhale, left hand high, right hand, maybe it slides down right leg, maybe wraps around a little back. Some will gaze to the outer edge of that right foot, maybe the outstretched left fingertips. Beautiful, guys. We'll hold for three. Breathing steady into that for two. Now let's release it back out to the warrior two, please. Inhale, long through the fingertips as we exhale. It's left forearm to left thigh and the right arm up and over. Same thing, other side. Now, energy, long line of energy from that right middle finger to the outer edge of that right foot. Extend this left arm out if you'd like to intensify this as we hold for three. Almost there for two. Nice. Now let's untwist. Right hand to the mat or to the block. I like to lift that right heel. You can keep it grounded. Left arm to the sky. Revolve crescent. Beautiful. Right arm is at 6 o'clock. Left arm is at 12 o'clock as we hold for three. Breathing into that for two. There we go. Left hand down. Right foot up. Now standing forward fold, top of the mat. Peace fingers mat or palms to shins. Let's half lift. Exhale, please surrender to the fold. All right, arms out like wings, reverse swan dive. We'll take us to stand. Palms meet above the crown of the head. Exhale, heart center. Hello, heart space. Coming back into the breath. Softening of the shoulders, the throat, the jaw. All is well. In the midst of the swirlingness, in the midst of life on life's terms, what can we do to just simply be? I heard yoga teachers talk about this. Simply allow. Early on in the practice, I say, allow what? Whatever you want to put after the word allow. Maybe it's a phrase, maybe it's a thought, maybe it's a notion, maybe it's simply allow peace. Allow relaxation. Allow opportunity. Allow release. Allow being present. All those things. And
We'll call this mountain pose at heart center, also known in the Sanskrit term world as samastiti, a little blending of breath, body, and soul. Now, please, let's release the hands once again down to the sides. Traditional mountain pose, Tadasana. As the weight shifts to this right foot, I'm going to come onto the ball of the left foot. It's almost like externally rotating this left hip. Here's the kickstand version of tree. I've got the ball of left foot connected to my mat, my right heel against my left ankle. Excuse me, my left heel against my right ankle. I'm mirroring you guys. So option is to stay right here, or I might take that right foot up to left calf. Maybe the inside of the left knee. Anywhere but the inside of the right knee. So yes, we've got left foot to maybe the kickstand version, maybe left foot to the inside of the right ankle, right calf, or right thigh. As trees do, they grow. One branch grows, maybe one branch stays low, maybe both goes high. You can kind of explore and experiment with this. Super rooted into that standing right foot. If you'd like to change the trajectory of your gaze, maybe the gaze goes towards the ceiling. You have the opportunity to maybe close the eyes. That's a little challenging. That'll kind of check in with the central nervous system. We'll hold here for 3. Big breath in, steady breath out. Beautiful, that's nice. Almost there for 2. All right, friends, let's do this. Draw the hands down by the side of the body and take this left foot to the outside of the right foot. Left foot is going to land to the outside of the right foot. So we're crisscrossed in our legs, yeah? So we got mounted pose with crisscrossed legs. Inhale, let's sweep the arms wide and high. Maybe a little tiny back bend. That's a little bit of a challenge. And exhale, swan dive. Lead with the chest, lead with the heart, flat back, forward fold. Okay, this is where maybe if you have that book or that block within close proximity, you can use that as a base. Otherwise, I've got a baby bend into my knees. Go crisscross forward fold, standing forward fold. Palms glued to my left shin. Inhale, draw the crown of the head forward so we have that half lift. Exhale, fold it in. Arms around like wings, let's reverse swan dive. Come on up. Palms meet above the crown of the head. And then please, let's release back to mountain. Okay, so shimmy that out a bit, little wardrobe check. Okay, weight shifts to that left foot. I'm gonna kind of externally rotate this right hip. I'm on the ball of the right foot where that right heel finds the left ankle. Or right foot finds left calf, maybe the inside of the left thigh. Anywhere but the inside of the left knee. Just don't want that left knee to be torqued. I'm going to keep it to the calf. On the side. Again, whatever the arms want to do, find that extension. Play with the posture, play with the placement of the arms. If you come out of this posture, just a chance to begin again. Please be kind to yourselves. Tree pose. So we're going to see the budding of the trees. We're here in the Midwest, central Indiana. Spring is sprung, but it's going to start to feel a little more like spring in the coming weeks. Check in with the breath, get fuller and richer and deeper on the inhale. Maybe it's a wonderful opportunity to exhale, see if you can feel more grounded, more rooted into that standing leg as we hold for 4. Breathing steady into that for 3. Almost there for 2. All right, with control, if the arms are lifted, let's lower them and taking this right leg to the outside of the left. The right leg to the outside left. Give yourself a moment to stay super rooted into this. Inhale, let's sweep the arms wide and high. And you guessed it, let's swan dive, flat back, forward fold. Again, maybe the fingertips to the mat, maybe to a block or a book. Eventually, palms to that right shin. Let's half lift. So I'm drawing the crown of the head forward. Exhale, please fold it in. Okay, arms around like wings. Let's reverse swan dive. Come on up. Palms meet. And then let's let go. Uncross. 1 second. Little alignment check. I'm thinking ears stacked on top of shoulders, shoulders stacked on top of hips, hips on top of knees, knees on top of the ankles. Namaste, blending breath, body, and soul. As you bring the insteps of the feet together, hands come down onto the thighs. Let's slide, wrapping the fingertips around the knees, and let's knee circle. So just gentle rotation. Ooh, there's a nice pop. So this, whatever direction you're going, We'll keep going for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now on 1, reverse. Let's take it the other way. Knee circles in this direction for 3. Beautiful, guys. Nice there for 2. Beautiful. Now on 1, we're pausing. I'm going to suggest you widen the stance just a bit as we slide it on down. So you're back to a standing forward fold, top of the mat. I'm going to then suggest you bend the knees a little deeper, fingertips are palms of the mat. Let's walk it back to table. Find yourself back to table. And then no fancy transition. You can lower into the right hip or the left hip. We're just going to swing the legs around to the front. Find ourselves to our staff pose. Fancy turn for just finding this seated posture. Arms will lift towards the ceiling and exhale a seated forward fold. So we did the standing version. Now here, this is seated. Let the core hover over the thighs. Maybe the hands come to the shins, maybe to the ankles, maybe to the feet. And friends, this is where a strap or an old necktie is a wonderful prop to wrap it around the balls of the feet. Just calling it out for future reference. Hello, hamstrings. And again, I have a slight bend to my knees. If there's any issues with your low back, I have been diagnosed 10.5 years ago, almost 11 years ago with a herniated disc, degenerative disc disease in lumbar 5 and sacrum 1. So the story goes, about 10.5 or 11 years ago with the clinicians, I was working with chiropractors and specialists. Options were surgery, going under the knife, or continuing to do yoga. And for the next 2.5 months, I continued to do yoga, and this pain went away. It was amazing. Walk the hands up the outstretched legs, please. Nice. Now I'm going to slide that right foot inside that left thigh. The right foot's going to slide inside that left thigh. If it goes inside the left knee, that's awesome. That's fine. Arms are going to lift, and we're just going to exhale. We're going to do the one-legged forward fold. Let that core kind of hover over the left thigh. Hands to the shin, maybe to the ankle, maybe to the foot. One-legged forward fold. Nice. Check in with that breath. If the arms are splaying out, I'm going to suggest you kind of let those elbows come into the outstretched left leg. We'll hold for 3. Breathing into that for 2. Now, please, let's walk the hands up the outstretched left leg. Nice. And then just gently switch. Right leg is going to be long. I'm going to bring that left foot inside that right thigh. Inside the arms will inhale, the arms will lift, and then we're going to fold over the right thigh. Again, bringing the hands to the shin, maybe to the ankle, maybe to the foot. Hold here for 3. Breathing into that for 2. All right, gently walk the hands up the outstretched right leg. Left foot comes out to meet the right foot. Beautiful, nice. Return to this seated posture. Suggestion is that you make sure you got room behind you. Let's point the toes, reach the fingertips forward, and let's begin our descent. We'll slowly start to unfold the spine to right about here. So we'll pause here. We'll hold for 3. Little core engagement, almost there for 2. Now I want to rise back up. Think about core perpendicular to the floor. And then as you exhale, with toes pointing and the fingertips reaching, we're going to go another vertebra or 2 lower to right about here. We'll hold for 3. Nice, breathing into that for 2. Now I want to rise back up. Okay, we got 2 more of those. Inhale to lengthen the spine, seemingly let the crown of the head lift to the center, but then the exhale, we fold, or we start to fold. Roll it on down. So here we go for 4. Nice, a lot of energy through the toes and the fingertips for 3. You guys nice, almost there for 2. Now on 1, we rise back up. Okay, here's a little reset. Inhale, I'm going to let the core expand just a bit, but then the exhale is going to be that lowering down. This is as low as you can go. Variation is bring the forearms to the mat or grab the hamstring. So you're either here, here, or here. So we hold for 4. That's it, guys. Maybe a little shaking going on. Hello, core. Breathing into that for 3. All is well. Almost there for 2. All right, now on 1, lower all the way. Shoulder blades in the back of the head. Let's continue. Reach the arms overhead. Yeah. So we have lovely length. I like to flex the feet. If you feel better to point the feet, so whatever. works. If the shoulders are creeping up by the ears, let the shoulders soften. Maybe give the fingers a little wiggle, maybe the ankles and the toes a little wiggle, wrists as well. Inhale, lengthen just a bit more, but as you exhale, let's draw the knees into the chest. I'm going to say 97% of people will grab the shins. For me to do so, I have to lift my shoulder blades in the back of the head off the mat, but eventually shoulder blades in the back of the head find the surface. It may feel good to find a little side-to-side rock. If you feel like the chin's lifting to the ceiling, just gently tuck the chin into the chest and see if you can bring the back of the head back to the surface. But eventually, arms are coming out like wings, knees float to the right, gaze is left. This is where a pillow or that bolster can be a great prop. Is taking those knees to the right. You want to feel the support, you can let the knees outside of that right thigh find the bolster, maybe a pillow. Gazes over the left shoulder. Supine spinal twist, that left shoulder blade you might want to pop a little bit. Somebody just try to be mindful to see if I can keep the left shoulder blade glued to the surface. Big breath in, big breath out. Okay, inhale, let's come back to center. I'd like you to rebind. So if it feels better to wrap the fingertips around the knees, maybe grab the hamstrings, those are some options, or if shins are being grabbed, and then arms out like wings, knees to the left, gazes to the right. Again, now you can bring perhaps that pillow or bolster to the outside of that left thigh for support. How about right shoulder blade? It might want to pop, so be mindful of that. Check in with the breath. Hello, spinal twist. Beautiful. We'll hold for 3. Nice. Almost there for 2. Now on 1, let's come back. The hips will lead the way. Knees will follow. Once again, grabbing the shins. If the chin starts to lift, draw the chin a little closer to the chest. Now let's do both legs stick straight to the ceiling. Both legs stick straight to the ceiling, as well as the arms. So we look like a little U shape. And all I'm going to do is start to move the fingers and the toes, wrists and the ankles. Fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. And then I'm going to start to shake. Legs and arms, hands and feet. And it's just a shake out. You can do this at whatever level of intensity you'd like to. Just feel that release, that energy. Let it start to flow. Just keep shaking. Let's shake it for 4. Keep going for 3. Shake it on out. Almost there for 2. Right now on 1. Bend the knees. Soles and feet to the mat. Hands come down to the sides of the body. Big breath in. Big breath out. Okay, friends. Let's find our way to rest. Some will keep the knees bent because it protects the low back and feels good. Others will slide the right ankle to the lower right corner of the mat, left ankle to the lower left corner of the mat. Some will prefer butterfly pose. Soles of feet connect. So personal preference as we make our way to Savasana. Savasana, the resting posture. Any micro movements, a little hip shimmy, a little shoulder shimmy. It may feel comfortable. I didn't bring my yoga blanket, but sometimes a folded up blanket behind the back of the head is a nice way to keep that cervical spine in alignment with the thoracic spine. And I've used this phrase to find the Savasana sweet spot. The suggestion of whatever comes out of my mouth is just a suggestion, but take a full, rich and deep breath in through the nose. And then as you exhale through the mouth, find that sweet spot of Savasana. Just let the breath easily flow, readily flow. And simply be. Simply allow. Palms up, a little more receiving of energy. Palms down, a little more grounding of energy. So maybe note where the palms are facing. Arms comfortably down by the sides of the body. Let those feet splay out if the legs are long. And simply let go. Let go of that which no longer serves. Those elements, those character traits that are holding us back to the best version of ourselves. It's a process, it's a journey. Trusting in the process and knowing that, yes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We can take this journey together, one step at a time. Feeling a sensation of tranquility and harmony just enveloping the body. A level of peace and relaxation. Nothing to anticipate. It's just simply now. Okay, discover and recover yoga people. Opportunities to bring some movement back into the body. Suggestion is perhaps fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. You move the head from side to side. If the knees have been straight, you can bend them. If they've been bent, you can straighten them. Maybe curl the tongue, stick it out. Maybe wiggle the ears, squinch the eyes. Just these physical movements coming back into the physical body. But eventually, let's do this. An inhale is going to draw both knees back in towards the chest. Another chance to grab shins, wrap the fingertips around the knees, perhaps grab the hamstrings. We've got the supine bind. For some, there'll be an option to float to either side, right side or left side, and finding a little fetal position. In the yoga practice, we call it a posture of renewal. Either right side or left side if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, just simply stay on your back. And then eventually, if in the fetal position, just press yourself up to seated. On your back, just rock and roll yourself up to seated. I'm going to return sitting back onto this bolster, returning back to your comfortable seated position, whether that was cross-legged like so or butterfly pose, and just pause to reassess, reconnect, realign, readjust. So, what a delight, what an honor to be with you all for Discover and Recover Yoga, discovering that, those elements. Maybe it's an injury, perhaps it's a loss of some type. So many things, on this journey, on this path that come into play when we're more aware. I'm going to suggest that this practice and the movement and the work that we do through the breath, we introduce more meditation and mindfulness, that we too become more aware of discovering those elements and then using this time together here on the mat to recover, to be the best version of ourselves as we draw the hands to the heart space, an acknowledgement of this ancient practice and acknowledgement to you all. Thank you so much for the honor, the joy of being in this space with you. And then we close in a traditional fashion. We seal the practice using the word Namaste. Please know the divine light, the teacher and the spirit within me, indeed, with a bunch of gratitude. and hopefully showing up in this space, in this Zoom session, in this virtual session, authentically and humbly with you all. Hopefully a mindset towards better understanding of what I need to discover. Bows to the divine light, to the teacher, and to the spirit inside each of you. Namaste. Be well, guys. Drink lots of water. See you next week. Peace.